Telltale is one of my favorite video game developers. While they do have some consistent technical problems that most people can't ignore at this point, they are fantastic storytellers. The Walking Dead, The Wolf Among Us, and Tales from the Borderlands are not just some of the best video game stories ever told, but they are some of my personal favorite stories in general. So I was very excited when I heard that Telltale announced that their next story is what may be their biggest license yet, Batman. With Rocksteady having made fantastic Batman games that are some of the most polished games of the decade, Telltale is here to tell a much more personal story that seems to be just as epic in scope, about not only the Bat himself, but the man behind the mask. This is a story about Bruce Wayne and Batman. The first episode of this 5-part series, Realm of Shadows, is now out, and whether you're a fan of Batman or story-based games in general, you might want to pay some close attention. And before we continue, here's my plan when it comes to reviewing Telltale's Batman game. The review for the first episode, which is what you're watching right now, will cover the basic setup and plot of the game with as little spoilers as possible. We'll also talk about how the gameplay works, as well as its technical performance. For all future episodes, they're going to be focused specifically on the narrative of the episodes, which means to watch my future reviews of the game, it is highly recommended that you play those episodes before watching my review of those said episodes. But anyways, for this video, there is nothing to worry about, so enjoy. Realm of Shadow starts off with a guard just relaxing on the job. Minding his own business, he's probably thinking about, oh my god, he's dead. Sorry, let's start this in a different way. Bruce Wayne is good friends with Harvey Dent, and he's helping him become the new mayor of Gotham City. When things start looking good for Harvey's campaign, the high-end mob boss Carmine Falcone wants to make Bruce and Harvey's life a living hell by making sure Harvey doesn't become mayor. As time goes on, Bruce is in a struggle to assist Harvey in his election. He has to keep the public's image of both his family as well as himself in good shape, and make sure that his identity as Batman is kept a secret. Oh, yeah, and you're f***ing Batman, so while you're dealing with your problems as Bruce, you also have to physically protect the city of Gotham as Batman. This is a story of a much more inexperienced Batman, so the conflicting dilemma of balancing out the life of Batman and Bruce Wayne is well executed, and will certainly ask players which identity is better suited for certain scenarios. Episode 1 does a great job of setting up the narrative of dealing with the man behind the mask, as well as the complicated mysteries Telltale has in store for us. Besides a few moments that felt forced in the episode to introduce certain plot threads, as well as some dialogue segments that went on for a bit longer than I would have liked, the game moves at a steady, comfortable pace. Just when you start getting used to making game-changing decisions, you'll start beating the crap out of bad guys to mix things up. The mysteries that surround your family and whatever else is going on in Gotham is so well told that I can't wait for the next episode to come out, especially with the cliffhanger that left me surprised. While some of Telltale's games and specific episodes might not nail the plot quite as well as expected, they always contain interesting and well-written characters, and Batman is no exception. The Caped Crusader himself is played by Troy Baker, and he's one of my favorite versions of Bruce Wayne in both film and video games, although I do think that the voice changer he uses for Batman does sound a little odd. Catwoman is just as awesome as ever, and is played by the wonderful Laura Bailey, with Harvey being played by Travis Willingham, and Falcone being played by Richard McGonagall, who was Victor Goddamn Sullivan. Other notable characters that are in the first episode include Alfred, Vicky Vale, and Mr. Gordon, and even Oswald, although his scene in particular did feel forced. Overall, Telltale made a smart move by not starting off their series with an overwhelming amount of characters and villains, which made the story feel more immersive instead of catering towards pure fan service. And just like always, the writing and the voice acting are all top-notch. Telltale's art style blends perfectly in the world of Batman, and never is this more true than when you see the noir city of Gotham, as well as the characters themselves. And while the game does graphically look better than some of the studio's previous work, it still technically doesn't run well. Like always, there are many short pauses that separate camera changes, the frame rate isn't as smooth as most would have liked, and more than any other Telltale game, I faced a number of performance issues, ranging from characters' dialogue cutting out during 2 specific moments, as well as a glitch so bad it crashed the game.
Where's Nikki?
Guess we'll never figure out where Nikki is. In a weird way though, I've learned to become accustomed to this over the years, although I'm not really happy about that. But the art style does work very well, almost making Batman tonally feel like the Wolf Among Us at times. It's been a while since Telltale really made me feel stuck when it comes to making decisions, which is why I'm happy to see that Batman is full of some great choices. More than ever, I found myself surprised at the results of some of my actions. Just when I thought I was able to predict how Telltale's games work, I was pleasantly surprised with the way some of my actions turned out. There were many decisions that were either tough to make or more intriguing than I expected, such as whether or not to answer a text during a press conference, what to do with important evidence, and even something as simple as shaking a person's hand. However, there were just as many moments that either felt predictable or forced me to make a decision, such as my private encounter with Falcone, whether you use brutal violence against a sniper to get the answers you're looking for, as well as the final choice you make in the episode. Regardless, I was still enthralled with the choices I was making, as well as the surprising outcomes they create. What's new is the addition of crowd play, where you and 4 other friends can vote on what decisions to make, with the top voted answer being the one that actually happens. When you have a group of friends over, especially ones that aren't into video games in general, it makes the experience much more interactive for everyone around you. Now, the gameplay is still typical Telltale stuff, however it has seen some improvements. QuickTime events now make the experience much more immersive, because instead of having the button you need to press simply displayed at the bottom of the screen, the button is instead located where the action is going to take place. It also helps that the action scenes are just as entertaining and well thought out as they were in both The Wolf Among Us and Tales from the Borderlands. A highlight of the episode is where I got to plan out how I wanted to take down specific enemies in a group, and then I got to carry out with said plan. Investigating the environment is much more interactive than before, as instead of wandering around clicking whatever buttons pop up, there are instances in which you have to link certain clues together to figure out what happened. While these segments contain little in the way of actual brain power, they were oddly satisfying and made the gameplay feel more player-driven. As an introduction to Telltale's version of Batman, Realm of Shadows does a great job of setting the tone of the game while also establishing the core narrative, subplots, and some of the characters you'll be interacting with. While there are a few oddly placed scenarios and a small amount of moments that stand out, that doesn't stop me from looking forward to how the story plays out. As a pure narrative, Telltale's Batman seems to be going on the right track, as I can't wait to see where the story leads us, how Bruce Wayne evolves as a complex character, where relationships with certain characters lead, as well as how my choices affect the overall story. I feel fully engrossed with the story of Batman, and whether you're a fan of the Caped Crusader or you're a fan of any of Telltale's previous games, you're gonna love how the story starts. Realm of Shadows, Episode 1 of Telltale's Batman series, receives an 8.5 out of 10. So that's what I think of the intro to Batman, but if you've already played the first episode, I want to hear what you think, so let me know what you thought of it in the comments below. If you want to see reviews for the next episodes of Batman, as well as other games of all shapes and sizes, then welcome to Bathroom Gamers. Thank you for watching, and stay fresh.